So if y'all haven't already seen, Demon Hunter is confirmed to be coming back. Tester lore started on Sunday, so the game should be dropping sometime this weekend. I'm recording on Friday, so when I post this, the game might already be out, I'm not sure. But I thought I'd make this video because there's going to be a lot of new players coming to the game, and Demon Hunter has a very different prog system compared to most other games I've seen, so it's definitely going to be a little bit confusing. The game definitely has a very harsh skill curve for new players, so expect to struggle, especially if you're going Slayer, or definitely if you're going Burst. The endgame shit for Demons and Slayers is a little bit different, so I'll go over them separately and I'll just put timestamps in the description. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you spawn in as a Slayer is you want to look at your innate, because that'll pretty much dictate what you're going to do with your build and whether you're going to go Limb or Burst. The main difference between Burst and Limb is in playstyle. Burst breathing requires a much more aggressive playstyle because you don't do permanent damage, but you can chain multiple moves and kill a demon before they have a chance to regen. Limb is a much more versatile playstyle where you can play aggro or passive, but generally on Limb you have way more health, but it takes much longer to kill a demon. I would personally recommend Limb if you're newer to the game, just because in fights you actually have way more time to grasp the mechanics of the game because you're not instantly dying in 3 hits. If those explanations don't make sense, you can pretty much sum it up like Burst is a glass cannon and Limb is like a tanky shit playstyle. So once you've actually chosen your breath, you can start queuing up missions and trying to level up. Just do this over and over again until you get to like level 30, and then go to final selection so you can get your Nishan Katana. By this point, you should have a decent amount of nodes, so you can go ahead and start making your build. Now, make sure you're very careful when making your build because resetting your build is very difficult and expensive in this game, so make sure you already have your build in mind before you actually start progressing it. So finding a build isn't actually that hard, I'm not gonna lie. You can look in the Discord and the Slayer builds channel and you can find one, or you can make your own. But your build kind of just depends on what upsides and downsides your like breath has. So you'll notice when you pick your breath or like go on the Trello or whatever, you can see every breath has its own unique like upside or downside. So let's look at like wind breathing, for example. It has HP damage high, so it has like the highest damage in the game, but move requirement high, meaning it requires more breath to actually use a move. Or go to like water, for example. Water has move requirement low, but it also has HP damage low, so you can spam a ton, but you don't do a lot of damage. So you kind of have to base your points around that to actually get the most out of your build. But the two main things you want to consider, like when making your build, like the two requirements you kind of need is, say you're playing a burst breathing, like flame or beast or wind or whatever, you want to make sure that you're damage capping on at least your 1 comps, because if you're not damage capping on 1 comps, then your build is like gonna be really bad. It's just gonna be harder to kill demons in general. So you want to be damage capping however much strength you need for that. And then on Limb, you want to be getting as close to con cap as you reasonably can. Because having con cap just makes everything way like easier on Limb. You regen way faster. It's just way better. So. And then I won't talk too much about movesets because they're kind of confusing to explain, like from a new player's perspective. But I will say the best thing you can do is just copy someone else's moveset. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try and experiment and be different. Just copy someone else's moveset and you should be fine. But besides moveset and breath upsides, the other 2 aspects of your build are going to be your stat points, like I talked about earlier, like strength and con and stuff, and then your sword stats. The 3 main sword upgrades that you're actually going to use are Affinity, Siphon, and Nishan. Nishan is pretty much exclusive to burst builds, as it's the thing that procs anti-heal whenever you hit someone, and you pretty much need it on bursts. Affinity pretty much just makes your comps do more damage, so you can use it on burst or Limb, but it's mainly used on Limb for breathings like water and snake that don't have Limb damage increased innately, so it kind of helps them compensate. And then Siphon is kind of just the default for all Limb breathings. It pretty much just makes it so you take more blood damage, making it so your fights last a shorter amount of time. That's pretty much everything related to build making, so next I'll talk about the fastest way to actually prog. So the 2 fastest ways to actually get EXP in this game are stalker missions and events. Stalker missions are pretty self-explanatory, like you load into your mission, whether it's patrol, lower moon, escort the villager, exterminate, or whatever. Like 2 to 3 minutes into you actually doing your mission, if it's not complete yet, you'll get stalked by a demon, and then it pretty much just spawns like a little zone, and then you guys 1v1. If you win, you get way more XP than you normally would have, and you also get the mission XP after you complete it. And then besides that, there's events, which are like really important to progression. So events, they happen every 2 hours, like real time in the overworld, in Tokyo. So every 2 hours at like 8 minutes, an event will start. If there's a certain number of slayers and demons, it's a certain ratio. I think it's like 2 to 1, but they change it. If there's a certain ratio, an event will start, and then it can either be a gauntlet, it can be capture, it can be king, it can be like a ton of different things. But if your race actually wins the event, you get like a ton of rewards and like a ton of exp. So you should definitely be going to events. Like if you're not going to events, your prog is actually gonna take like forever. So definitely go to events. Yeah, I also just realized I forgot to talk about PDs, so I'll talk about those really quickly. Pretty much every day there's a chance for a PD to start. I'll put the odds up on the screen for like when they start and on which day and how that works and stuff. But pretty much when a PD starts in that PD zone, if you queue into a mission or a stock there, you'll get 3 times XP. So it's definitely smart to take advantage of this. If you're level 80 or lower, you also don't wipe if you actually die in these PDs. So there's pretty much no risk to it. So whenever you see there's a PD, it's definitely smart to hop on and grind levels. So to sum it all up, if you're winning your stocks, you're going to events, you're taking advantage of PD, it really shouldn't be that hard for you to get level 200. Now, obviously, if you're like brand new to the game and you're like getting shit on every stock, it's gonna suck. But if you just stick through it and grind, like hitting max, like it's not that bad. And then the last thing I'll go over are the endgame unlockables, see-through world, slayer mark, surge v2, etc. No one knows the requirements right now, so obviously I can't tell you them. No one knows them, but they're probably going to be similar to what they were like the previous lures. It'll probably be like something around 300, 400 kills, 30 to 50 event wins, kill streak, NPC kill streak, like what it usually is. But I will go over them one by one, just like talking about what they do and stuff for people who don't know. So Slayer Mark, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of mid if you play Burst, but it's pretty viable on Limb. It just gives you a well, okay, it's really good just because passively it gives you like a regen buff even when you don't have it like activated. Like the first time you ever unlock Slayer Mark, from then on you just have a passive like better HP boost. So that's really broken. But outside of that, the actual Slayer Mark mode isn't that good, just because when it ends, you get like crazy debuffs, so it's not even like worth it to use. But I mean, it's solid. You get like a damage buff or whatever, so it's decent, I guess. See-through world, that's like self-explanatory. I'm not even gonna go over that. And then Surge v2. Surge v2 is kind of weird. On certain breasts, it's really good, but on other ones, it's like really useless. So pretty much what it does is it makes it so your M1s can now cut limbs, and then also your M1s will apply whatever your breathing passive is. So say for example you're playing wind and you pop Surge v2, and also your Surge v2 will just take over for your normal Surge, so it's not like a separate mode or anything. But say you pop Surge v2 on like wind, and you M1 a demon, they'll get the wind passive applied to them, so they'll get like a slow say you like hit someone with a flower M1 on Surge v2, you get like flower dash, just like shit like that. But I'm not gonna lie, this video is getting a little bit long, so I am gonna wrap it up here. There's a lot of stuff to cover in this game, so I probably didn't get to everything, but that being said, that's all I got for y'all.